You are never gonna guess who has a microphone this time. Hello! It is nice to meet you, or see you again, depending. My name on the internet is Hollyheart, and that's good enough for me, and I was, at one point up until March of this year, a licensed esthetician. You may be asking, hey Holly, what the hell does that mean? And I will tell you, a licensed esthetician is somebody who specializes in skincare, not skin health specifically, that'd be a dermatologist, but skincare. The reason I let my license expire instead of renewing it like I really wanted to is A, I am flat broke right now, and B, I could not find any work as an esthetician, despite it being a pretty big passion of mine, just because the area I'm in, there are a lot of estheticians. Like, there are a lot of them. Like, a lot. I wish I was exaggerating. It's insane. There's about 50 spas just down the road from me. Not a single one of them is hiring. So instead of feeling bad for the fact that I spent $4,000 on schooling to get a license that I didn't really use, I'm gonna use the knowledge that I, again, paid $4,000 for, and talk about skin types in media. Specifically, today we're talking about Camp. Can you guess why? Bet you can't. I bet you can, actually, because it's kind of my whole account right now. That being said, there are some people who've never met me before. Hi, I know, I'm great at making first impressions. Camp, for those who don't know, is a TV show, an animated series by the company RoosterTeeth. The show follows the adventures of Camp Campbell, which is a summer camp that combines about 1 million different types of summer camps into one, because it's a money laundering scheme. Money-making scheme, technically. It could be money laundering, I don't know, I don't check the guy's taxes. The show does look like a kid's show at first, but I promise you it very much is not. There are a lot of mature themes in here, and a lot of swearing, a lot of really inappropriate things. There's a couple of episodes I myself don't really rewatch when I rewatch the show, because they're so gross to me. One of those is Quartermaster Appreciation Day. You have to watch it once, it's a canon event, and then after that, never touch it again. So what we're doing today, because I have a passion for this, and I really love the show, is we're going to be talking about the skin types present in Camp. And we have, let me count here, 6 different scales we're going to be using to talk about these skin types. First, we're going to be going over the Fitzpatrick scale, which is a scale gauging how well you tan or how much you burn. It's a 1 to 7 scale. If you're a 1, then you're incredibly pale. If you're a 7, then you're incredibly dark. After that, it's going to be your oil production level, which is one of these 4 bits here. This is typically how people describe their skin and how their skin feels, if it's really greasy or not. After that is going to be the acne grade. The acne grade is also a 1 to 4 scale, and this just determines how much acne you typically get. So if you're at a 1, you barely have any acne at all, and if you're at a 4, that's what we refer to as cystic acne. Cystic acne is actually something that we can't really treat very well, so we'd refer you to a dermatologist, and typically they prescribe something like Accutane. The next 2 things are really just for fun because, they're kind of the main point of the video. It is possible skin disorders, a routine recommendation that I have for each character, and what I think each character's favorite service would be. And I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to say it more than once. Estheticians are not dermatologists. That is very, very important. So when I talk about possible skin disorders, I'm not diagnosing anything because I can't. I'm not trained for it. I'm not licensed for it. Estheticians are, however, trained to look for common signs of common skin disorders such as rosacea or psoriasis. With all that out of the way, I say we get into it. The 3 characters we'll be looking at today are Max, Nikki, and Neil, who are the main characters of the show itself. I figure, episode 1, starting with the main characters, classic move. Character number 1 is going to be Max. He's the main character of the show, 90% of episodes focus on him, and what I find really interesting is that when they're not about him, then he's barely in them at all, which it's really, really in character for him. He's kind of the camp loner, he's only really got 2 friends, and that makes perfect sense because he's an asshole. Now that you know Max on a deep and personal level, we can talk about his skin. For Fitzpatrick level, I'm going to put him at a Fitz 4, so he doesn't really burn in the sun and doesn't get many freckles, but he does tend to tan. My guess is he gets a bit lighter in the winter and a little bit darker in the summer. In terms of skin type or texture, I'm leaning more towards him having normal skin, either normal or combination, but I'm going to say normal. This just means that he produces oil evenly across his face. He's not particularly dry or particularly oily, and he also doesn't tend to get a lot of acne. In fact, my guess is when he does get acne, it's either because he's really, really stressed or he doesn't really wash his face. So, acne grade 1. And next up is skin disorders, and unfortunately, I don't think Max has any. Or fortunately, I don't know, it depends on how you look at it. When looking for problems with their skin in the show, I try to there's a few close-up shots I try to look at, or I pay attention to if they have any particular issues. Max's biggest issue is that he has dark circles and occasional dark spots, so yeah, that's not really a disorder, that's just kind of damage to your skin. I also get the sense that he does have a skincare routine. Admittedly, it's not nearly as obsessive as someone like Sasha's would be, but it's enough to give himself a routine and keep his face clear. He's not very particular about it, he doesn't want anything that takes too much time, so I would recommend something really light, mainly just 2 or 3 steps, maybe 4 on a weekend, just to relax a little bit. So I suggest he cleanses twice with a gel cleanser, as that's the least irritating for normal skin, moisturize daily with a watery type of moisturizer or cream moisturizer depending, and use a vitamin C mask once a week because that helps reduce dark spots and circles. Finally, in terms of service, Max doesn't really like being touched, but he does love a sensory deprivation tank. Sure, it's not a regular spa service, but I don't really think he cares. That's everything for Max, moving on to Nikki. Nikki is a very obvious fan-favorite character, and for very obvious reasons. She's rambunctious and lovable, breaks the laws of physics, easily makes friends, and can canonically talk to wolves. When looking at her skin, Nikki's not necessarily tan, but she doesn't burn very much either, so because of that, I'm gonna put her at a Fitzpatrick 3. For skin texture, I think her skin's more dry than anything. In the series, she dries out in city pollution, which is pretty common. She also almost dies, but we're not talking about that. She also doesn't seem to get very red or seem irritated by the dirt on her face, and she does often have an abundance of dirt all over. So, because of that, clogged pores, and because of that, acne grade 2. Grade 2 acne isn't really all that severe. She more so just gets whiteheads and tends to get bacteria trapped under her skin because, again, dirt. But if she cleaned her face more often, I doubt she'd have very much acne at all. I'd put her more at a light 1. For skin disorders, I also don't think she really has any. The most she would ever get is some flakiness due to dry skin and a lack of skin care. Routine recommendation is going to be really difficult for Nikki because I don't think she really wants to clean her face or wants a really extensive routine, so I'm going to say a once daily cleanse with a cream or gel cleanser and a daily exfoliant. It's very different from a regular exfoliant. Keep that in mind. Please don't damage your skin. On top of that, I would say she could use a cream or a gel moisturizer. The cream moisturizers are best for dry skin because they tend to push moisture in, so I'd say that over a gel. For services, I think Nikki would be surprisingly open to them. I think she'd enjoy a very stereotypical mud bath or a mud facial because it's mud, but I think she'd also really like hydrogelly mask. A hydrogelly mask is a type of mask that starts off more as like a thick liquid, like a gravy kind of, is what I would describe it, very cold gravy, but it solidifies more after a couple of minutes and you peel it off the face, super gentle, super hydrating especially, and it's something weird she could take home. I'm pretty sure if you asked, an esthetician would let you take it home. I mean, they're gonna throw it away anyways, right? I think that's everything I've got for Nikki, so next up is Neil. Neil is a nerdy, nervous, antisocial kid who is a fan favorite. Totally not one of my favorites. Super lame. When talking about skin, Neil is incredibly pale and burns like wood in a gasoline fire, so automatic Fitzpatrick 1. I don't even have to think about that one. For skin type, I'm gonna say either oily or combination. I'm leaning more towards oily because he's definitely not dry. Because Neil tends to sweat a lot, and he also does seem to get acne very easily, and well, thanks to those two facts, I can also confidently say he's got an acne grade of 3. Grade 3 acne means you tend to get more inflammation with your zits, and you also have a small chance of developing cysts, although that can be reduced with regular face cleaning. I think for Neil, at least part of his problems are just stress-induced, very relatable. For skin conditions, I'm actually pretty inclined to believe that Neil has rosacea. Rosacea is characterized by constant redness and overly sensitive skin and broken capillaries, which are tiny blood vessels. Neil is almost always red, especially in his nose and ears, where rosacea tends to present most. Now for skincare routines. I feel like Neil would especially like a very, very detailed and kind of strict routine. He's always been that kind of guy to me. So I'd recommend a good gel or foam cleanser, preferably foam because they're less irritating for oily skin. Always use twice. And on top of that, I would also say you should use a toner. That's not something I recommended for the other two because it is pretty optional, but it just helps to rebalance the pH or acidity of your skin. Given how heavy his acne is and how easily irritated his skin is, I'd recommend a very, very light exfoliator, something like acne pads, so it'd be a good example of that. I'm also going to recommend he use a once weekly face mask, something specifically designed for cooling or reducing irritation, because that's going to help get rid of all that redness. For moisturizer, I'm going to say he should use something light and watery because that's going to be the least irritating for his skin. Now for service, I don't think Neil would really like having his face touched, but I could see him being really interested in something, technological, like a hydrofacial or some kind of machine like that. Depending on how well people like this, I might go into more detail about what a hydrofacial is. They're really cool machines, actually. It's a whole brand. Look into them. They're very good for you. I think that's everything. thank you, I guess, for being here. I really appreciate you guys. Um, comment if you want a part two. I mean, I'd love to do a part two. I had a lot of fun today. Thanks for letting me yap. I might make it longer even. Heck and heck yeah. Okay, have a good day. Bye bye.